Hi, fans of high quality entertainment. It's been a while since I've done one of these lists, and this is a new one by Rolling Stone magazine. It was posted a couple of days ago, and I haven't seen the whole list, but I've heard there's a certain Beatles album cover on this list. So, as always, please remember to leave a comment on this video after you watch it, and subscribe and like the video. Thank you. Or dislike it, I don't care. The 50 worst album covers of all time, from rock to rap to country and beyond. It's an assortment of images that you can't unsee no matter how hard you try. And, they have a little spiel here with each album. I'm not going to read them all, but just talk about the album covers themselves. I see nothing wrong with this album cover. I know it was drawn by, Christy Brinkley. Is it the greatest album cover? No. But is it bad? No. I think there's a lot worse album covers than this. Let me know what you think. Yeah. Um, REO Speedwagon, 9 Lives. I've seen worse. Chuck Berry is on top. Not a great album cover, but it's like I say, I'm sure there's 50 worse album covers than this. Rolling Stone is so silly. Queen the Miracle. Yeah, that hasn't aged well. I think most people that use Photoshop could do that in 10 minutes or less. But, back then there was no Photoshop, and from what I've read, it took, quite a long time to do. It's certainly not a great album cover for me. Yeah. Just kind of sad seeing the Twin Towers. Visually, I've seen worse. Yeah, yeah, yes. Not a great album cover. But the 50 worst album covers of all time? Come on, Rolling Stone. Get with it. Yeah, I think Michael Jackson's ego was at its height around this time with that statue, and the album cover isn't that great. But it's not the worst. Village People, Renaissance. I think that sold 10 copies. Yeah, I've read that Tom Petty, at this time he was fighting the record company about the prices of the records, trying to lower the price, and he was saying that he didn't focus on the actual album cover for this, and he regrets this because it is a boring album cover, but it's not bad. He's in a record store. Um, it's just not a very exciting album cover. But I guess from then on, he kind of made his album covers a bit more interesting. Metallica, a very dark album cover. Not one of my favorites. Yeah, this is the original for Rod Stewart's debut album. For Canada and the States, I think it was, yeah, it was just the Rod Stewart album. It was really plain. But this one is a little bit, I don't know, weird. And no comment. Yeah, that's a bit of a mess. Especially, maybe on vinyl it might look a little, no, it's still bad. Ooh, that hurts my eyes. Brad Paisley, Time Well Wasted. I've seen worse. Okay, I think this will be my thumbnail. Let's see what it says here. Klaus Vormann. Cool dude, good friend to the Beatles in Hamburg. Great bass line on You're So Vain. But let's be honest, this cover, which he designed, is a mess. The central notion of the Fab Four getting lost in their own hair is solid, but the photo collage of the mini Beatles is mostly sloppy, and the portrait of George is so bad that you have to wonder if Harrison owed Vormann money. It's not that bad. It looks enough like George. And it's not my favorite Beatles album cover. I prefer, Rubber Soul, Abbey Road, Sgt. Pepper, but it's still a very good album cover. Rolling Stone sucks. For a punk rock album, this is kind of suitable, right? It's not going to be Sergeant Pepper album type cover. Roger, the many facets of Roger. Yeah, this one is horrible. On my main channel, I've got a series of worst album covers, and I remember talking about this one. This is a bad album cover for George Jones. I want to sing. Let's move quickly by that. uh, Pat, is it Pat? Hard to read. Pat Kelly, Lonely Man. One of the greatest artists of all time, Corey Feldman. If you haven't heard this album, you're lucky. And the album cover is horrible. Somebody's just learning Photoshop. Yeah, that's not a very good. Ozzy would have some pretty good album covers, but that certainly isn't one of them. Down to earth. And I always say, I imagine the artist or the band seeing the album cover and approving it, saying, yeah, that's the album cover. Lionel Hampton, Hamp in Paris. Another eyesore. James Brown, Reality. That's okay. I don't mind that one. Yeah, or this one. What's wrong with? I remember, seeing it. Maybe now it's not as interesting, but back in the day when this album came out, I thought it was kind of a cool album cover. Little Flip, the Leprechaun. I've shown that in one of my worst album covers videos. Yeah, just a bit too much of It's all over the place. Very messy. Bon Jovi, pretty boring. Slippery when wet. Oh, yeah, that's a bad album cover. Billy Squire. Like I can just imagine the artist, whoever did this, showing this to Billy, and he starts weeping, saying, "Yes, that's the album cover. It describes the music perfectly." Anthrax. Your typical heavy metal album cover. Fistful of metal. That would hurt. Yeah, Leo Sayer. It's your typical 70s. I mean, like I keep saying, I've seen far worse album covers than this. It's your typical pop disco album cover. This one is always makes the worst album covers list. Love Beat. Yeah, that's not very good. Move on. Chumbawamba, however you pronounce it, that's a horrible album cover. I've never seen that before. Tub Thumper. Yeah, seen that many times. That one, Orleans. Not that there's anything wrong with that. They look very happy. So I would say maybe about so far about 10% of the album covers should belong here. The other ones, I mean, even this one, it kind of looks a little ridiculous, but I've seen worse. Yeah, Bob Dylan Saved. That was such a disappointing album. Follow up to Slow Train Comin'. And the album cover too is just not very good. The Bee Gees, Cucumber Castle, not one of their best album covers. Of course, Robin Gibb at that time had left the group. So it's just the two brothers. This one usually makes the list of worst album covers. I agree. Great album though. And they could have had a Roger Dean album cover, but they went with this. Trick Daddy, www.thug.com. Yeah, music, sex, drugs, money, death. Pretty bad. I've shown this album in one of my worst album covers videos. David Allan Coe, Spectrum 7. Looks like his foot's on fire. It's Sam St. John. I mean, Donny Osmond. It's not as good as this album cover here by Donny Osmond. Disco Train. I got to hear that album. Capadonna. Ooh, that's a bad one. That is horrible. Good choice, Rolling Stone. Dolly Parton, Bubbling Over. I've seen worse, like I said. Three Dog Night, Hard Labor, giving birth to a vinyl record. It is kind of sick and disturbing. But I have to laugh about it. I'm sorry. And I know that when this was released later on, they had the vinyl record section covered with a bandage or two. Yeah, this one's bad. Kanye West, The Life of Pablo. Aretha. Oh, that's hard to read. That is, what's that album called? Why is she upside down in the middle of her face? Hey now, hey, the other side of the sky. Oh, it's upside down. No wonder. Top five. Oh, Ted Nugent. Another cover, Love Grenade. Another cover that got pulled by the record company just before it was officially released. This is a favorite of mine for worst album covers. This would be my top 10. Crosby, Stills, and Nash, Live It Up with a bunch of hot dogs in outer space. Somebody approved that. Reed, Weathered. Yeah, that's a pretty bad album cover. Number two, probably Sergeant Pepper. Roger Daltrey, Ride a Rock Horse. I've seen worse, like I keep saying. And what's number one? Limp Bizkit presents. Yeah, that's pretty bad. Chocolate Starfish and the hot dog flavored water. That could go in the top 10 of the worst album. That's an idea for a future video. The top 10 worst album titles. Chocolate Starfish and the hot dog flavored water. Just very bizarre. And that is it. So yeah, maybe 20% of these in the list are deserve to be here, and the other ones are just not good, but they're not horrible. So thanks for watching. Leave your thoughts below on what you think the worst album covers are here, or which ones don't deserve to be here, like the Beatles' Revolver. Don't get me started. Have a great day. Bye.